Actually, we met at a bar at a happy hour.
He just happened to be at the bar and saw me, I was told saw me from afar, and came over and started talking to me.
Just seen her across the way, and I ended up going over and talking to her, and we kind of went from there.
And then he asked for my number, and I was like, oh. He's like, are you single? I'm like, yes, I am. So that's how it all started.
No, I thought she was beautiful, so I had to go talk to her across the bar, so I went over and, did my little spiel, and it worked. I guess for that most part.
He asked for my phone number, and I remember right before going out that night, I put one of my Mary Kay business cards in my purse, and I'm like, well, you never know. So I put like 3 of them in, and I'm like, so of course he asked for my phone number. His phone doesn't work. And I'm like, oh, perfect opportunity. And I gave him my pink business card. He still has it today and keeps it in his wallet. So it's just something that's pretty cool. And he thought I was, I guess, how can I put this? The owner of Mary Kay. So when he found out that I was just a consultant, and just kind of funny.
She actually met my father on the first night. Yeah.
While we're sitting there, someone comes up to me and whispers in my ear, don't listen to him, he's full of shit. And I look up, and then he looks up at the same time, and he's like, Dad! And I'm like, oh. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So I met his dad, and now knowing that, I'm like, oh, that's his dad. He contacted me probably the Monday after we met, and I had to wait a day because I was so nervous to call him back. I called my friend. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And she's like, Jessica, just call him. So I called him back, and I'm like, I'll call him back in the middle of the day when I know he's probably working and he won't answer the phone. And he did, and I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, I'll call you later. So the rest of that week, he called me every night, and I talked to him for a couple hours, and the following Friday, we went out on our first date.
We went out on our first date I think we went family first, and then we went putt-putt and went out to eat, and then we went dancing at Doc Holliday's.
One of the things that always sticks in my memory is that when we went to Olive Garden, I think I had mentioned that I try to watch what I eat, and I eat kind of healthy, and the bill came, and he took the bill, and at the Olive Garden they always give you mints at the end, and he ate both the mints, and I couldn't believe it. And to this day I still tease him for the fact that he ate both the mints on our first date, and he didn't even ask me if I wanted one.
Well, the way it happened was she really we had mentioned, talked about it a little bit, but she had no idea, like in this time frame, it was more like the way I made it sound was like a year or so from there.
We had plans. He was supposed to come over to my house or something, and he's like, well, I have to help my dad with something. And his story kept going like back and forth, where he's like, well, I don't have to help my dad. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, you just said you had to go up to your dad's house and do this. And he's like, oh, well, I don't need to buy, I have to buy the part. And I'm like, okay. And it just wasn't adding up. And come to find out afterwards, he kept telling me that because he had to go over and ask my father for permission. And so here's me standing in the house arguing with him about why his story. I'm like, what are you doing? Why, oh, I have this to do now. And I'm like, it's just weird. So, I left, did what I had to do, met up with him later, and didn't think anything of it afterwards.
She came to the house, and I told her to sit down and, just, take a load off because she was kind of in a rush. And
he's like, hey, let's talk. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I'd like to hear about your day. I'm just like, this is weird. Like, he doesn't say this. And then I'm like starting to get nervous. I'm like, oh gosh, what's wrong? And then I'm like, oh wait, what did he do? Oh no, what is he gonna be telling me now? And I'm like trying to brace myself. And I'm like, okay, just stay calm. It's probably not that bad.
And she was kind of nervous, thought like I had something else to tell her, and then I kneeled down and I actually proposed to her. So she was really shocked because she didn't think it was coming within any close time frame to that. So it worked out well.
And then he stands up, and I'm looking at him like, what are you doing? And it wasn't until he got down on his knee and pulled out this ring that I was like, oh, this is what's going on. And I had no idea. And he's like, so will you marry me? And I'm like, Yeah. I don't think it was the response he expected, but he really, really surprised me. And knowing David, he probably couldn't have pulled it off better, because if he would have done some big elaborate thing, I would have known. And this way, he completely caught me off guard, and I was able to be really excited and surprised.
I'm getting nervous. It's on its way, because it was a year ago when we proposed, and it seemed like everything just kind of speeded right by. And now, looking at the church, you kind of like, you realize, I'm like, wow, we got to walk right down this thing and sit up in the front, and yeah, a little nervous.
I'm a little nervous, not necessarily for the fact that it's like I'm nervous to marry him, but I'm more like, oh my gosh, I'm getting married. This is finally here. It's something that we've talked about, and it's been in the distance for so long, and it's like, wow, it's here. I'm getting very excited, I would say, and I just can't wait for the day to get here. I want all this little stuff done, and just for us to get to enjoy that day with our friends and our family, and it'll be really special.
I just love to tell her I love her, and she completes every part of me that I don't have.
To have fun and enjoy life, and not to forget to make each other laugh, because that's what's going to help us get through some of the tough times that we don't even anticipate happening yet. So just to stick together. And that I'm very excited, and I can't wait for the day.